Hey guys, Joker here. So let's talk about voice acting and about people who want to become voice actors. So a lot of the very well-known and famous voice actors in the anime industry or even the video game industry will often talk about how voice acting is just another medium of acting. And when you want to get into voice acting, that not only should you consider if your voice sounds good, what sort of range you had, are you able to, I guess, make different voices, is how well is your acting and how much emotion can you convey with just your voice alone while you're acting? Because when you're doing this sort of acting that it's not showing yourself, your face, then the only thing that you have to carry out the acting, it's your voice. It's not like when you do it on theater and you're on a play or on a TV show or even on a movie when it's actual people. Yes, they're definitely using their voices to convey the acting, but at the same time, they have their whole body and especially their face to be able to convey some of the different emotions that they may be acting in the moment, or even sometimes some of the like messages and body language through those facial expressions to the audience that a lot of voice actors in cartoons, anime, and video games are not able to do because they only have their voice to be able to convey all of that through the character and be able to sell the performance through their voice. And that's why a lot of these actors will often tell people who want to get into the industry to start first by acting, going into acting lessons, seeing if your school has a theater and there's like a theater club, whether you're in just still in school or going to university, if there's a theater in town, maybe they're doing a play and they're taking in people, see about auditioning, see if you get picked or something. Start at home by either reading out loud or just when you're in your room acting by yourself, just talking to yourself and recording yourself and see how you sound as you start acting and then like playing with different ranges of your voice and seeing how you sound. They also tell you to try and be aware try to be well spoken. Like try not to stutter so much or stumble on your words a lot because you have to make sure that your voice sound as clear as possible. And that's why I think that all of these tips that I see a lot of the very well known and just famous voice actors in the anime industry and video game industry give are very, very good to give. And I think they have a point because at the end of the day, you're acting. They also say that you can have just different tools at your disposal, so it's not going to maybe have like something in the studio that may help you with, if you have to squish it or something with certain emotions. They often talk about how put your face into just silly mode, make a lot of just different, like very silly expressions, especially when you're like doing that performance and talking and just like convey, because that's going to help certain emotion come out. And I haven't really done a lot of showcasing voice acting, but it, I love acting. I just, that ability of like being able to be somebody else and just putting myself in somebody else's shoes has always been fun. I've done it since I was little because I had the opportunity while I was in school to have theater club or theater class, however you want to call it, and as soon as I could, I would go into it and we would start doing things, and it didn't matter. I was having fun, and that's another thing, especially when you're starting out. Just have fun with it. Another thing I did, which is not as popular, and it really depends if you like it, but I like role playing, and so I managed to find some friends that liked role playing, and so we would do a lot of voice role playing in our phones, and we would be able to make different voices and just showcase all those emotions and abilities. I did a couple of other tricks, like um, I put I'll put my hand on my neck when we would be describing fighting scenes, and maybe I myself or somebody else would describe that, I just grabbed you in a chokehold, or we would give the whole narration of somebody being grabbed and then starting to be choked. I don't put a lot of pressure, but to make it sound more realistic, I got the idea to put my hand around my own neck whenever that would happen. Doesn't matter if the other person did it or if I did it myself, to whatever it is that I was doing. And I would put a little bit of pressure, and it makes that choking sound a little bit more realistic, in my opinion. And so I would always start like this. I would be like, as the man came running towards them and tried to kick them with one of their legs, all of a sudden they would grab from behind, flipped, and as they tried to stand up, a hand curled around their neck and began choking them. And then, as I've said, the narration, because again, you gotta remember, like, I would do this when I would be role playing, and I'm just gonna be showing examples. It's just when I would role play, I would set like a narration before the action, or sometimes I would do the action, and then I would explain what I'm doing. And so then I could explain. I would hand on my neck, and then I begin to put a little bit of pressure, and that usually helped. Let me try again. So, like I said, I would put a bit of pressure on my neck. So, whole hand around the neck is kind of the technique. And then I put a bit of pressure. Why? Why are you doing this? I I can't. And that would sell more um that illusion of, oh, I'm being choked. Another thing I would do is, if I was, say, being a character of a vampire, I would actually hiss when I would put the action that, I'm biting into somebody. And similar to what I showcased earlier, I would set the narration and the action, and then I would just be like, and as I'm doing this, in my facial expression in my mouth, I'm opening my mouth to sort of make that sort of hissing sound. Um, Another thing sometimes I would do is put an arm over my eyes, or maybe muffle it against like a pillow, and then I would start crying to try to make those sounds that I'm not realistically making more realistic when it comes to acting, because you're using your voice, and sometimes like grunting, like, ah, yeah, stuff like that. Um, Sometimes just doing different little voices, like, okay, I'm gonna go into one of the ones that a lot of you guys have seen because I've done it a lot in blind toe streams, and he said it's kind of creepy. Hello, guys. Thank you for sticking into this little demo as I showcase more things and talk more about acting because I like doing this. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, sometimes I feel embarrassed and ashamed, and also I'm not good enough. And sometimes it's kind of hard because I don't find a lot of people who like doing the voice acting through roleplay anymore. And all people want to do is just text, text, text. And it's not fun, not fair. But, I mean, I still have some people that still like it, so I guess that still makes me happy. So, it's okay. So, obviously, you guys can't see it because I want you guys to try and hear all of the different emotions that I tried just putting into just that voice talking and going back to back. So I started as like very happy, cheerful. Then I try to go to a more sad or feeling down tone. Then I try to go to a more angry, upset, more aggressive tone before going back to a more like chipper and happy tone. Um, and I was doing all of that just with my voice. Physically, I was doing a lot of different expressions with my face and being a bit silly because, again, a lot of actors tell us that that is something that we should do. And so, another voice that sometimes I've done, and again, I apologize because all of this is so cringy. I haven't done stuff like this in a while. I may do some of the voices just to be silly from time to time, but actually acting them, I haven't really done it in a bit, and I've thought about getting into them again and actually publishing it, but I don't know. I never go through with it. But anyway, so this one could be more of a more like young female type of voice. So hold on. Mm. Another important thing that you should also always do is water. Water is very important when you do these types of things because you don't want to kill your voice. It's something I've sometimes done, which is not good. But anyway, so again, it's more of a young female, maybe teenager, young adulthood. Anyway, um, yeah. So I don't know if a lot of you are going to really stick through this whole video. I hope some of you do. I really don't know how well this is gonna turn out, but hopefully a lot of you stick around and hear, watch the whole thing. But I don't know. I'm not a very confident person in my skills, even if I may be extremely well in some of those skills. And I think it's because sometimes we are our worst enemies, our worst critics, and we often belittle ourselves the most. But I figure this could be some good advice and examples for somebody who wants to do this and wants to make sure that they're capable of doing this to be something that they can look forward to and enjoy. So, yeah. I don't know. I hope you really like it. So in that one, I only like made the voice like a bit softer from time to time, and at the end, I kind of made it sound a little bit more like higher. But I try to maintain like just same tone throughout the whole thing and not change it as much as in the last voice. And then I'm gonna give two more live examples, and I think that would be it, just in showcasing different examples. I apologize for any background noise. I did my best to make sure that there weren't any, but unfortunately, sometimes you can't help it. So, um, this is more of a young male voice who is not a child, but still more like a young teenager, I would say. Like, still hasn't reached adulthood, maybe. And so, here goes. Hi, I'm Sora. I'm a Keyblade wielder. I've traveled to a lot of different worlds, and I have two companions. They're Donald and Goofy. They're some of the best friends out there, to be honest, and they've gone through a lot with me. I don't think I would be able to make it without them. They've taught me a lot of things, and I've been able to grow up as a person thanks to them. At the same time, I have a lot of other friends that I've made throughout my journey, and even before I left home, but I cherish all of them equally, even though Riku can be a bit of a pain sometimes. I mean, he's not a bad guy, and he has changed. It's just, I can't believe he made me believe that Santa wasn't real. Like, it's obvious he's real. I mean, we went to Halloween Town and then Christmas Town, and I actually met him. Even though, thanks to Riku, apparently I was in the naughty list. Can you believe it? It was infuriating. But at least now I can tell Riku that Santa actually exists. And I can't wait to see the look in his face. Ah, it's gonna be so priceless. Another really good friend is Carie. Although, I kind of feel bad that I left her waiting that whole year back at Destiny Islands. I mean, I know I told her I would be back with Riku at some point, but I didn't think it would take that long. Like, how was I supposed to know it would take me forever to find Riku? Like, it was as if he didn't want me to find him, which was kind of rude of him, because thanks to him, we made Kyrie wait for so long. But I'm glad I have such awesome friends, because if I didn't have any of my friends, then I wouldn't have been able to grow so strong and have the power to be able to help those when they needed it the most. So yeah, that's another voice that sometimes I used to like using when I would roleplay, and you can go crazy, which is how you move your body when you do it, to be honest. Um, which it's what I sometimes do. I like to like move my hands stuff, although I've been trying not to so much because I've accidentally knocked off the microphone. But yeah, and I guess the last example that I'll showcase, which I kind of showcased it when I did that 6 hour stream at the beginning, because two of the characters fall into this range, and I have to be I have to be very careful when I do it. Because I'm not a very low like when it comes to my range, and so when I've done that, I've killed myself. Sometimes I end up sounding like a chain smoker based on what other people told me, and I'm not gonna lie, that was cool hearing that because I like going. the lowest I can while trying not to kill myself. The few role plays that I've done of My Hero Academia, and I've done Dobby, and hearing that I sound like a chain smoker, I'm like, oh hell yeah, because come on, Dobby sounds like a chain smoker. But this is kind of my emo voice, kind of like Gray is a good example. Like, okay, here we go. Oh god, if you hurt anybody in Fairy Tale, I'll make sure you regret it. Nobody gets away with messing with anybody in the guild. Yeah, I'm an ice mage. What is it to you? Uh, Jubia? I guess she's alright. She's not that annoying. And that's Auto Showcase because, like I mentioned, I have to be extremely careful when I go low because sometimes I've gone really low to the point that my throat just starts hurting. And that's something we don't want to do when we voice act. We don't want to end up doing that ends up actually hurting us. So, yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends.